I want to talk today about Barack Obama's race. It seems to be a big deal in this current campaign. Should he become president, it'll be continually a big deal. He uses it as a form of defense, which is if you confront him on certain issues, he'll call you a racist. Now, a lot of you are familiar of pictures of Barack Obama's family. And here we go. A lovely family, and I admire that he's been a good father to them, and apparently they're very loving and close. And we'll see pictures of him with his grandmother. There he is with his African Kenyan grandmother. And he's recently gotten in trouble with dressing in native clothes of that country. And they've shown pictures of it. It looks Islamic and such, so that was really unfair, and it's unjust to use that kind of stuff. But the Clintons did pull it out of their hat. And then we'll see his extended black family from Kenya. There they are. Nice looking family. Look like good people. But here's the thing you don't hear about. You really don't hear much about his white mother. You really don't. There's a reason why. Chances are because he's distancing himself from his white family. Who can say why? It's clear that he attended a church, and there's his minister, in which the minister actively attacked whites. He actively spoke against the whites, the evil, rich white people. But little was actually revealed about these evil, rich white people. And you can see a picture of some of these evil, rich white people, namely his grandparents. Yes, right, those evil, rich white people. You know, the ones who paid for him to go to Harvard, or wherever to college he went to? I think it was Harvard. Now, his mom's name was Cheryl Ann Dunham. And his grandmother's name is Marilyn Dunham. Now, his mom is unfortunately died. She is dead due to ovarian cancer, from what I understand. Now, his grandparents were instrumental in raising him. You have to understand that his dad, his Kenyan dad, his African dad here, left his mom when he was only 2 years old. Now, this is obviously, he's not 2 in this picture. He visited and had a relationship with his dad, which is great. It's good for parents to stay involved in their children's lives. But what is less known is the fact that his mom remarried. Here you go. That's his family with his mom remarried. And if you note something here, you'll notice that his mom's new husband is Indonesian, it looks like. Now, that means he has, and you see this little girl in this picture. The little girl is his half-sister. And here's a better picture of his half-sister and her husband and their child. So, now, it's a good idea of his family line as it is, and that's another picture of his half-sister, I believe it is. A picture of his half-sister. I'm not entirely sure about that one. Yeah, they look about this right. Now, here's the deal. Barack Obama is an example of a mixed family. His mom from Kansas went to college, met a person from Africa, his dad, and they got involved. They were married for 2 years, as I understand it, and then they got divorced. His dad went back to Africa, and she met a Indonesian fellow, married him, and had a daughter by him. They were more closely linked in many ways to her. He was more closely linked in many ways to his mother, and by extension his grandparents, who funded a good chunk of their activities. Now, here's the deal. Then, when he graduates college, he goes to Chicago and becomes a member of the activist community. That's his credentials for presidency. He is involved in a church. He joins a church, becomes a Christian, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that he's not a Muslim now, but that's more because I'm a Christian and I'm inherently biased towards Christianity. Now, he goes to this church in which this black minister frequently attacks rich white people, whom is a perfect description of his mother and his grandparents, rich white people. Yet, he makes no effort to stand up to this minister. If he felt defensive of his mother, one would expect him to say, look, I don't like what you're saying. I'm leaving this church. I'm not going to deal with this race baiting where you're going to make my mom out to be a bad guy. My grandparents out to be a bad guy. Instead, he remains silent. And not only does he remain silent, but he continues to attend this church where this race baiting takes place, where this anti-white mentality is promoted, and this segregationist type view is promoted. He keeps going to this church for 20 years. Which leads to the question of why. After 20 years of going to a church, donating over $22,000, if not more, of your own money, you have to ask questions like, why do you attend this church where this kind of activity is taking place? Then you have to ask other questions like, why is it we never see pictures of his white relatives or his half-sister? None of that. You would think if he was a uniter of people that he would say, look, I am of mixed heritage. I'm proud of my white mother, and I'm proud of my black parent. I'm proud of my half-sister who's half Indonesian. I'm proud of my diverse family, and my family being so diverse is a symbol of the diversity of America. It would be so well to do that because that would show an inclination of being a uniter, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't distance himself from race baiters. He makes sure that he's always seen in pictures of African Americans around him to sell the point. Now, this perhaps might change in the general election, but perhaps in the primary, he's really trying to sell himself to the black community to get their vote so that he can get their support. That may be the case. But whether the case, it really asks the question and begs the question of what is his actual feelings towards race? Is he like this minister, hating on white people, hating on America? The minister who's been his minister for 20 years? Or is he truly this symbol of diversity that his lineage would indicate? He is a crossroads of many different races and cultures. You could say that he was a symbol of diversity. But he doesn't really sound like he is by what he's been doing. So there's my issue on Barack Obama's race. He could sell it so much better, and I'd respect him so much more if he sold himself as a symbol of diversity, less as the black man representing the down for the struggle African American community. Fine, he can call himself a black man if he wants. I actually think he should be proud to say, I'm a mixed heritage. I'm proud of both heritages. But if he wants to call himself a black man, that's fine. But why does he closely relate to the people who are obsessively anti-white when he has white heritage? And that gives me pause. Anyways, thank you very much. Have a good day, and God bless.